Welcome to Season 2 of Why Your Business is Invisible Online. This season, we focus on the dramatic change artificial intelligence is having on your online visibility. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
Hi, this is Jim Filatico. I'm currently obsessed with planning my next beach adventure for my whole family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs. We're talking about AI this season. I'm wondering, can I get an AI agent to clean my house?
And I'm your host, John Maniatis, still glued to my guitar, but with my new band planning our next tour. Okay, so today we are thrilled to have with us as our guest Robert Mitchell, who's the Chief AI Officer at WSI. Now, Robert helps business owners all over the place and in different businesses really make sense of AI and talk about and work with them on actually how to use it and how to help them grow. Robert has been instrumental in turning this cutting edge tech around AI into very clear, actionable strategies that help improve their marketing, help streamline operations, help save them money with a lot of productivity wins, and also help increase performance. So with that formal introduction, Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to join all three of us. We've had the pleasure of watching you in action in a number of different ways, and so we're thrilled to have you here.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Hey, Robert, before we get into how AI is changing the world, we've heard that you even use AI to write songs and cook. Can you share one of your favorite examples of AI?
Well, I'll start by saying, yes, of course I'm doing that. And why aren't the rest of the world, right? So I'll give you some examples, but I have to say that if you're not using it for every task and every activity and everything you do, then what are you doing? I mean, at the very least, you should be using it for fun stuff, like cooking, like making songs. I think a really good example, I'm a foodie, so I'm constantly cooking in the kitchen, and sometimes I have a hankering for something. Sometimes I have a hankering for something that doesn't even exist anymore. For example, and this is on my TikTok, which I only did like 15 videos. I had this series I was doing, which was ChatGPT made me do it, or made me cook it. And so I would ask stuff like, I was a big fan of Chick-fil-A's chicken salad sandwich, which they had for years. I loved it, had eggs in it. I was like, and they got rid of it. And I was like, I want it. And so I asked it to, whatever. I'm sure you could Google it and it's somewhere, but I asked it, give me the recipe and tell me how to do it. And then I asked it to do, Panda Express's teriyaki chicken. And it did it. So every time I had a hankering for something or some kind of interest or food, authentic Indian cuisine, or authentic pho, it nails it to the T every time. But that's an easy lift, okay? But then I would actually say, give me a pan meal, which I do sheet pan meals, where basically it's a tray, a bunch of chicken. I was like, give me a sheet pan meal that's kind of Asian inspired. And you know what? I can't picture it. Can you give me an image to make me know what it looks like? It would do an image of the finished meal, and that would make me hungry. It's kind of like a Chinese menu, right? So you don't know what you're ordering. You just want to have a picture of it. And even another one. I got another one, Kelly. Is I created a GPT for my cookie called Robert's Cookie Companion. And this is a great tool because, some of my family, they like chocolate chip cookies that are softer or harder or crispy or thin or with nuts, without nuts. Some people have gluten allergies. So this will allow me to go in there and say, okay, I want a cookie that's soft but plump. And then it would change the recipe based on what the end result was, and it would tell me which ingredient did what to. That was great. So those are three really strong examples of AI for fun. But that's the thing, is you have to use it for fun so that you can unlock that part of your brain that problem solves using AI. And then when you're moving to your day job, you're like, I wonder if AI can do this. Help me write an email response to this angry employee.
I remember you challenging us to stop using Google and do everything on AI to see what.
Oh my gosh! I was like, "What in the world?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will say that every training I do, I give homework, and the homework is exactly that, Jim. It's stop using Google for a week. Change the search bar to where it's ChatGPT, because there's a plugin for there's a plugin for Chrome which allows you to put ChatGPT in the bar instead of Google search.
Yeah.
And that'll fix your problem. You can't Google anymore.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I know are just starting to do that. They just want the answer. They don't want to go to a website and give me the answer. And we know with all the Google's doing that already. They're taking up all the top space on every page, right, with the actual answer now. So that hurts some of our clients.
You make an interesting point, John. They are removing the top of the fold, as they call it, right? They use the old newspaper terms, and they're taking that up with stuff that is not SEO hackable.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that you've been developing with clients with, and all these marketing experts have got them the first place in Google, right below the ads. Well, guess what? That got pushed below the friggin' fold.
Exactly.
So now all that work is done.
Yeah.
So now you got to learn what's the new method. And so that's what we're on about today, hopefully, is what's the new way to hack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I already have clients saying to me, like, I know I'm on page 1, but why am I so far down? And I said, well, let's talk about AI. So, but before we jump into the good stuff with search and where that's going, I'm in a band, and Kelly and Jim know that. Like my brother, who's a drummer, he's been pushing me to start a cover band. But since you're doing original content, Robert, like, it'd be great to understand a little bit more about, like, what type of music are you using AI for, and how are you using AI, like, to,
And what platforms?
Like, are you in rap? Are you in country? Are you in rock? Like, or maybe all of the above? Who knows?
Well, I love doing the occasional rap battle between the different models. I think it's fun to let them, hack it out, But what I enjoy, I like 80s synth music. I like 80s kind of
Love it, yeah.
And also anything that speaks to the audience. Depends on the audience. So typically when I go to a client workshop doing training, I'll do a song with their mission and values. I'll throw it into ChatGPT for some good lyrics. I go into Suno and I get it to produce a song with those lyrics. And I give them all these contexts of the vibe, and then when I want country or if I want R&B or whatever. And it's brilliant, and it really makes everybody smile, especially if you put names in there.
Oh,
you put like Bob in accounting or whatever. That really does make them smile, and it just breaks the ice in ways that you can't do any other way, honestly. Which is why, as you know,
Suno, S-U-N-O.
S-U-N-O. Okay. Yeah, I was saying to Jim and Kelly last year when we played a gig at this bar, and we had to come up with a funny name for the band. So I decided to use AI to give me a hand with it. So I said, okay, here are the songs we're playing. Think about these groups and their entire repertoire, all their songs, all their lyrics, and come up with a catchy name for our band using, basically using that as your background. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, the AI, it hasn't developed it yet, but it doesn't have much of a sense of humor, especially when you're telling it to be clever, interesting, and stuff. I literally went through, I told them, give me about 50 names to choose from. And I couldn't find one. That I asked the group, is there anyone that you like from this list? They go, nah, these are boring.
John, I got to tell you, you're using the wrong model then. So I'll just tell you that ChatGPT has slowly gotten a little bit less. Okay, so what makes the models have drift or hallucination also make them very creative. So the more you try to police the one, you lose the other. So which model out there is not policed at all? It's Grok. So if you want to have some real fun, you go into Grok, and I highly recommend you don't do the 18 over unless you're in a private room. There are some F-bombs, and they will tear you a new one. But that's where some really good names will come from. If you want some creative stuff, try Grok.
Grok. Okay. Great advice. Okay, because they were
I think
laughing.
we can close on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a drop the mic moment. Yeah, for sure.
So this whole chapter 2 of ours, season 2 of ours, is about how AI is affecting search and how AI is affecting businesses completely. One of the things we talk about are stats. 43% of users under 35 now prefer AI-driven search like chat. Why do you think people are shifting to these AI platforms? What do you think is having people, move over, so to speak?
Well, I mean, if I offered you a Ferrari in exchange for your Honda, you'd take it, right? I mean,
I would.
So when you're sitting there and you have options that cut all of the mess out. You're basically offering a undeniable solution. And so the more and more people that try AI, the more and more that the traditional search method is becoming obsolete.
Mhm.
So let's talk through that. So, when you're looking at personalities and the different ways that social media and scrolling have made instant gratification a thing, like everybody from our kids to even adults, movies are too long now. 2 hours are too long.
Yeah, no.
The content is in bite-sized pieces. This is all happening over several years. And so it shouldn't surprise us that people want that type of experience in their search and their querying. But I don't want don't give me all these ads. I don't want to go to a website and learn about the best 5 TVs to buy right now. I want you to just tell me the answer. Give me the facts, Pam. So I think that when ChatGPT came out and you could ask it just a basic, simple question, it would give you the basic, simple answer.
Right.
Holy crap, that's changed the landscape. And I think that answers your question. That's why people are
Yeah.
preferring the conversational approach, right?
Mhm.
They don't have to go through blue links. They don't have to go through websites. And it hurts for people that rely on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about it.
That's the tough part is the people that want those clicks. Our clients want those clicks, and so we're pivoting based on that.
Well, yes, and one of the things that helps us in that regard is I've found that because of that, they and my clients are getting better or higher quality, higher intent lands
Yes.
on their website.
Mhm.
So so now having
That's
a
a good point.
conversation that the traffic to my website is decreased. Does it matter if your conversions are higher?
No,
Right.
not
Then
at
it
all.
doesn't. So then it's kind of modeling that way because you don't want the noise of people kicking tires. You want the people that's ready to buy. So that's some of the shifts that we've had to do in that realm. And because honestly, people like Robert, who are at the leadership at WSI, have really helped us to say, hey, this is changing. So one of the things you talk about all the time is like, what, so what, now what? So what? AI is happening. Okay, so what? Should we care? I think we all can agree that yes, we can. But now what? Now what do clients have to do differently if they want to get clients or show up in search is
No.
is what we're struggling with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, this also is an indictment to your business model, not yours, but of a end client. If you are a traditional website that you are coaching and training, like your whole business model is providing content on how to tie knots with a piece of string, right? And you do videos. Well, unfortunately, websites that are selling products are going to be fine, but
Mhm.
websites that are all about their content and driving to their knowledge base, they're going to be dead in the water. They're already dying on the vine. So they might need to pivot their offering, pivot their deliverable, pivot what they're doing with their website. I know that's not exactly every client, or probably you don't have any clients like that, but the ones that do, those are probably having the hardest impact. But, when you're looking at updating a website for a service or a product, it's a simple solution now. It's not as hard as people think it is. SEO might have been a little bit harder. That's why you need experts to navigate it. But the experts you need now need to be experts in knowing that AI search, we call it search generative experience.
Mhm.
So it's a coupled model. It's they have a little bit of the algorithm that knows the content of your page, the robot.txt, right? It understands what's going on there, but then it uses the language model, which has got a corpus of data over the whole internet, every book ever made kind of a thing, right? So how do we get in that second part? We were already in the first part. How do we get in the second part? In the language model data set. And that's when you get an expert that can draft you content that's properly aligned with language models. You can't do keyword hacking anymore. Keyword long tails. You can't do that stuff. That's not going to, backlinking, they could give a crap about backlinks. That's not how language models operate. Here's an example, okay? Let's say you own a backpack company and you make backpacks for a living and you have this really cool new backpack that's really good for cold weather, for people who love pets, who like hiking for 4 days, who are male or female, right? And they like to tent camp, and whatever. Give me a list of the things, right? Your backpack is good at that. Guess what? Your story needs to be on your website. Here's a great story of Sue, who hiked the Appalachian Trail in negative 20 degree weather with her boyfriend and her dog. And then, oh, by the way, Backpack XOG4 was what she used. There you go. You got semantic association of all these concepts that somebody's going to Google and say, I'm going on a backpack trip in the Appalachian Mountains with my boyfriend. That's what you need. You need lots of those stories to plump the content, to plump the LLM, because they have their own crawlers now. They're not relying on Google's stuff. So I know I'm going on a tangent here.
No, this is good because it leads into my next question. So keep if there's more to it, keep going, Robert. I think it's a solid.
I think that's kind of the thing is that people, the old ways of SEO hacking is not going to work anymore. You have to, even if you look at your newer Google page, there's now AI section that you can click on, not the regular search, just another, like next to images, you can actually click on AI and see a whole response for just AI, just like you're in a ChatGPT window or a Gemini window. So they're starting to test that. How many people are using that versus regular search? So be ready for that paradigm shift.
Yeah, which is great. I'm getting my clients to buy in to AI and starting to put their baby toe in the water and saying, okay, you're doing a good job on Google. I'm getting there. I can see that's working. So that side of it's fine. On the AI side of things, though, what one of the questions I get is, okay, well, hold on a sec. There's Search GPT, which is part of OpenAI. Then there's Perplexity. Then there's this Anthropic Claude thing. There's all these, and then there's obviously, with Google, there's Gemini and what's going on with Bing. He said there's so many of them out there. Do I have to do things differently for all of them because they're so specific in what they look for to put me, to make me be the answer to most of the key questions my clients care about? If I'm an HVAC company, they care about their furnaces and their heating and their air conditioners and so forth. How do I get to be the answer in many of the cases when my clients are looking on all of these different type of AI tools?
Yeah. The good news is, John, to answer your question, is they're all built on the transformer architecture. So every language model that you're talking about is built on the original architecture that Google came out with in 2018, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And the good news about that is that once you put a strategy and a plan together, like we talked about, then it'll apply to all the models because they're all crawling, they're all behaving the same way. But here's the nut, though. I'll give you another example because this helps me. So language models don't operate like saving a data set. It's not an SQL database. So if I were to use ChatGPT right now and put in my password is I love strawberries, okay? And then Kelly logs in 10 minutes later and says, what's Robert's password? It does not know that. It doesn't save my session, my input, and then makes that part of the language model. That's not how it works, okay? But on the flip side, if I asked, who is the CEO of Coca-Cola? It knows that. Now, why does it know that? Not because it was said one time by one user on one article. It's all over the freaking internet who the CEO of Coca-Cola is. Blog posts and news articles and everything. So if you got an HVAC person, right, HVAC owner, and they're a small town operation, and they just got their website this year, good luck, right? That's going to be a lot of content that has to associate best HVAC in Gwinnett County. Right? You have to do a lot of content to make sure somebody who is searching for that specific, term or phrase or story, like we talked about, will have fed that language model enough content to make that the answer. So that's why that second channel is hard, because not only has to be semantic association with concepts and different ideas, it has to be multiple times, lots of times. Back to your question, John, all the models will behave the same, which is why you always got to test it. Your name, you used to Google your name back in the day. You should ChatGPT your name and see where it's getting its information, cite it. And then you go and go, this site has been crawled. We should probably update that because I no longer work there, those kind of things.
So, you're talking about local companies and those kind of things. Do you if someone's, like you said, Gwinnett County, if someone is looking for a product or service, do you just have to be better than the rest of them in the area for that to work? Or is that not, it seems like from the Google perspective, that's all you have to do is you just have to suck less. right, as everybody else. But when you talk about semantics and those kind of things, it's semantically, it may not be that way. It's just
Well,
the
that's
amount of
interesting
volume.
you say that. Content is everything. This is context and content are everything.
Right.
So you would suspect the algorithm is pulling from a different types of data sets, whereas a language model is saying, well, this HVAC company was associated with 5-star rating 200 times by all this data sets, right? So that's the difference is when we say semantic association, when you ask it, what's the best? Well, it understands best with, above 90% or 5 stars or all the different. So it kind of connects those and it connects HVAC. It's like a lovely little three-dimensional word mapping. If you've ever seen visions of that, and you're constantly you're hopefully raising the temperature of whatever concepts, like Bob's HVAC. We want that one to be as closely associated with as many of those positive connectors to what that person was searching for. That's the key.
Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.